This is the Criterion Creeps podcast, and tonight we're talking about My Life as a Dog from 1985, directed by Lasse Hallstrom. The synopsis of the film: a boy, obsessed with comparing himself with those less fortunate, experiences a different life at the home of his aunt and uncle in 1959 Sweden. So RJ, are you familiar with the work of Mr. Hallstrom?
He's a Lithuanian screenwriter, correct?
If by Lithuanian you mean Swedish?
Sure.
Sure. Like the chef.
Sure. Yep. Swedish. No, I am not familiar with said guy.
He's a man who directs movie pictures. Like such titles as What's Eating Gilbert Grape? Chocolat. Dear John. The Cider House Rules. Safe Haven. The Shipping News. I mean,
I'd be interested to know when he moved from things like Gilbert Grape and, well, I guess Chocolat's pretty, like, I was gonna say into those, like, what is it, Dan Green or whoever writes those Safe Haven, Dear John books. Do you know what I'm talking about, Jared? Nicholas Sparks is who I was thinking about. Yeah, this is it's based off of a book, you know, Jarrett, from a guy named Radar Jansson. He's kind of like Klinger from MASH, I think is how he's described as. I actually watched the supplementary material on Criterion Channel.
Oh, you did?
It's 20 minutes of Lasse, who I got to mention. A movie called My Life as a Dog, directed by a guy named Lasse. Sounds completely made up.
Too good to be true.
It's too good to be true. But that dude talks about, he's mostly talking about like the movie and then this author, but it's kind of like uninteresting stories where he's like, yeah, you know, I made a movie and then they're like, hey, you want to make another one? So I was like, yeah, all right. And then I made this dog movie and, you know, it's a book and that guy's an author and that's all good. Like that's all. It's him 20 minutes. He's just wearing this like.
Someone should give that man a podcast.
They should, but that's all it is. And like I mean, it's fine. It's all right, but he does talk about how like the ending to the book was different, but it was too dark.
Oh shit!
So I can tell you about that when we get there. But,
okay then.
I'll hit, since we were talking about Radar Jansson. I thought I would let you know I learned a little bit about him this week.
Wow,
yep.
Excellent.
Yep.
So this movie, it's about a kid named Ingmar, and him and his brother Gunnar. They're your typical annoying kids. Not like extraordinarily annoying, but they're like, you know, they're kids. They're a couple of boys, you know.
They get, on a scale from Jarrett to RJ?
Ooh, they're a couple of shit's kid RJs.
Hey, I was a perfect little angel. I was.
Yeah.
You can, yeah. Oh, so are you talking about boys getting into trouble? Hey, boys will be boys, right, Jared?
Boys will be boys.
Isn't that what you always say when you?
So you know, there's fun moments like Ingmar sticking his dick in a pop bottle.
Classic. We've all been there, right?
Yeah. And then someone's got to help get his dick out, get his pecker out, and they do. And then we have a thing where, like, you know, mom's like, "What's wrong with you?" And he's like, "You know how it is," and she laughs, and then she starts coughing up blood. You're like, "Oh God, that's what we're in for in this movie." Well, see, initially I was like, "Was this the TB?" But
I mean, it was.
Yeah.
But I didn't guess that. I thought she was just lazy.
You know, is lazy one of the symptoms of your laziness coughing up blood?
I mean, if you're really dedicated to being lazy, it could be. You know, I thought I had mono for a year, but it turned out I was just bored.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
What about the shingles?
No, that one was real. There was no blood coming out of my coughs, but my eyeball bled a little bit.
And don't even talk about the toilet.
No, that was no different from my normal day. My every day on the toilet is a class 5 disaster with me, so
RJ,
business as usual. Yeah.
While watching My Life as a Dog, I felt the sword of Damocles hanging over my head because this movie has a dog in it. A cute little dog, a real Benji dog. And he's like, he's a little companion. He's always like hanging out to the side, going for walks, going out to, like, you know, by the train tracks and hanging out. And you're like, oh God, this is about adolescence. Some like bad kids want to cave that dog's head in with a rock or poison it. We've run the gamut of what could happen to this dog. And then, so I have to say that when the dog was removed from the story off camera, it's like, okay, we can breathe easy. But then it's like, then kind of like the other shoe drops in like the most graceful of ways where you're just like, oh, the dog's gone. Like the dog's dead or something. And like, it's all left very vague. You're like, wait, so it's all like this mystery. What do you think? Is there like a thing where it's like,
well, it's a metaphor, Jarrett.
They took the dog to the kennel. And then what happened?
Okay, well, do you want me to get into it for real?
Yes.
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious, right? Like the whole thing is he's talking about like he's like we have to compare ourselves to others. And he's always talking about Laika, the space dog.
Yep.
And how like horrible it is that they sent that dog up to space knowing full well that it was just going to die of starvation, strapped to like a fucking board pretty much. And it is like, and he's just like, I feel bad for that dog. And he's like, and those people were not good people. And he's like, and I'm comparing my life as that. It happens to him. His dog gets sent to the kennel, but it's really put down is the way I interpreted it. Or maybe it was sent to a kennel and they're just like, you know what? You couldn't, you can't have a dog here. We're sorry. But it's also, Jarrett, his life. He is the dog.
Are you saying it's almost like his life is as a dog?
As a dog? Yes. And that's what I mean. Like I thought it was pretty obvious. It's like I don't think it comes off like
You mean when he starts barking?
Well, yeah, that one. But I mean, I don't think it comes off like super bluntly where it was like that. But I was like, yeah, he gets sent away too with the intention of never coming home again. And then he gets that realization. He's like, my dog is gone. I'm never going home. I am named Radar Johnson.
Yeah.
This is my life.
This is my life.
So, I mean, that's the way I took it, but I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe that's like the superficial way to interpret the story, but.
So, yeah, we get the dog. He gets taken out of the picture, and you're like, oh, that's good.
Yeah, nothing of relief.
Yeah, good. The dog's not going to get run over or shot or killed by an abusive man. Some of those many tropes that were kind of coming to mind. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. But that was off the table. But instead, we get to watch this kid who gets shipped off to live with his mom's brother and his wife out in the country. And kids are kids. It's like, I don't know if you'd call this even really coming of age. We get some titties in this movie. There's this like real lovely lass that really takes a shine to Ingmar, and like she's like, oh, you're just a little kid, hey, hang out with me. She works at the glass blowing factory. Everyone's working in the big glass factory, making blowing glass, and I don't know, living a real meager Swedish lifestyle in the boonies. There's guys who just like constantly are working on their roofs. There's like dirty old men who have like little boys read like descriptions of underwear to them while they
wrote down
there
Jarrett
hands under the blankets.
Yep. I wrote down Jarrett at that scene because you've made me do that too. It wasn't like lingerie magazines or catalogs.
That was the first version of the podcast.
That was the first version where he's just like reading out like these weird transcripts of these like Alex Jones podcasts. And I was like, why do you want me to read this, dude? And he's like, just keep reading.
Yeah.
It's good for my tuberculosis.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, whatever.
So yeah, there's a tomboy girl, Saga.
Saga, the hit comic book from Brian K. Vaughan.
And
what else?
And Fiona Staple.
Oh yeah, hey, I met Fiona Staple. She was a really nice lady.
Very convenient. So
it's true. I got a commission from her.
Yeah.
Do you know what of?
Sweet Tooth.
No, I didn't actually, because that was before I was doing that. I got a commission of her of a Krang.
Wow, that's even worse.
A good use of her talents. Yeah. Anyways.
So they hang out for the summer, I guess, in rural town. They go back to the city. Mom's supposedly getting better. Mom's not getting better. Mom's dying, and mom dies. And the brothers are kind of just sent to separate houses. I guess one lives with
Mm-hmm.
the another brother, another uncle, maybe related to the unknown father figure who's off like shipping bananas.
Bananas. It's
Down,
a key plot point.
yes, some like
Mm-hmm.
if someone doesn't do it, no one's going to do it at all.
Uh, Andrea came down when I was watching the interview thing, and like it was just a little clip from the movie, and he's like, it's the kid. He's like, someone's got to ship those bananas. And Andrea's just like, all right, I'm going back upstairs. I'll see you later.
Yeah,
And I was like, yeah, okay, sure, whatever. Yeah, that's. I mean, I think it's fine.
yeah.
Uh huh. What were you
So
talking about? Bananas?
bananas and my life as a dog.
Hmm.
So kid gets shipped back. Things are a little bit different.
Hmm.
It's wintry and cold and more like shitty. Things aren't
Sure.
exact. They're not all like fun and shiny like when he was down there for the first time. Now there's like this Greek family. This
Mm.
family of Greek people moved into the basement. They're taking over, and now he's got to live upstairs. But even his aunt and uncle are like, "Ooh, yeah, there's just not enough room for you to sleep up here. You're going to sleep down the street. You can hang out here all the time, though. Come on by. You can eat here. Everything will be the same." But you're going to be sleeping down the street with the old
Hmm.
lady, and you'll be sleeping in her dead husband's bed right beside her. And I don't know, RJ, if you have many memories of sleeping by old people, but it's not a good time.
What do you mean memories of sleeping by old
Like
people?
old family members. Did you ever never have that experience sleeping with your grandparents?
Uh, I slept at my grandparents' house a couple times.
Yeah, you never had to like sleep side by side with them at any point in your existence. You managed to
Uh,
dodge that bullet.
I mean, I probably could have. I found sleeping in their house was like kind of spooky
Wow.
as it was. I don't know about like sleeping right beside them.
Oh man.
Could have been even spookier.
No.
Spooky.
Spooky.
Spook. What were you talking about?
So this kid, he's turning into a real mess. He's
Oh
suffering
yeah.
all those traumas are building up. He's like,
Hmm.
"Where's my dog? When's my dog coming back?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, he'll be right there." Until he pisses off Tomboy Saga, and she lays it out, saying, "Yeah, your dog's dead." And of course, this hits home. He realizes, "Yeah, my dog's dead. My mom's dead. Everything sucks."
Hmm.
He's becoming a real dick, and
What
yeah.
does he do? That's dickish.
Well, let's see here. He starts ignoring her. They have a row. You know, little kids have rows, and they're no longer friends anymore ever again. He starts hanging out
Hmm.
with like another. He starts hanging out. He gets invited to another girl's birthday party. She's more of a girly girl, and they're vying for his affections in his little like Pee Wee Herman costume, I guess, a little
Hmm.
bow tie and suit. And yeah, there's a boxing match. There's an ongoing subplot involving boxing. This little elven little boy, does not look like much of a world beater. He looks like he could get beat up by most any kid. And I don't know, things all wind up in a nice, neat little package. This is a real kind of, I don't know, it's a drama. It's one of those types of movies. It's not my speed. It's fine. I would never watch this movie ever again. It's already slipping from my memory.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. Hey RJ,
Yes.
what did you think of My Life as a Dog?
Well, contrary to popular belief, Jarrett, Laika the dog, who was sent into space from the Russians, did not die of starvation or what they claimed was she was euthanized in space prior to oxygen depletion. But what really happened was she died from overheating shortly after the takeoff of the rocket.
Are you sure that the shuttle didn't land on the moon and then she like started hanging out with the moon people?
I mean, in my mind, that's how I would have wanted the story to have happened. Because I sympathize with this poor boy Ingmar and his tales of interest, and him talking about he's like, you know what? I think it was probably a bad thing that they did to that dog, and I was like, I'm with you, man.
There's a lot of
That was a weird
well,
thing.
because he always talks about he frames it as there's always someone that's got it worse than me.
Worse than me.
Just like in that letterbox synopsis, it really lays it out.
Yeah, which like I don't like when people are like could be worse because I feel like it trivializes things, and it's like you don't know, but. I mean,
It's
I
like
like
it's like the comic of the dog in the kitchen. This is fine.
this is fine. Yeah, it's kind of like that, but like he's using it as like this coping method, Jared. What was I going to talk about?
How did you feel about this movie?
No, I was going to talk more about the dog metaphor or the analogy of the dog here, but
Really unpack it?
you derailed me completely.
I did it.
Completely, Jarrett.
I did it.
You finally did it. I had like such insightful things to say about my boy Laika, the dog.
These movies.
These movies.
These rat catchers, these George Washingtons, these my lives as dogs.
As dogs. They well, I mean not George Washington, because that's like the worst use of that kind of thing. Because it's so ridiculous.
About raping about dog rapists?
No, that sounds like the man is raping the dog.
Oh no, these are the dogs who rape
dogs.
children.
Allegedly.
Wow.
Allegedly, Jarrett.
Hey, they wouldn't say it if it didn't happen.
I mean, you might have a point on that one. But what did I think of this movie as a whole? I thought it was fine. I'm with you. I'm not going to watch it ever again. I don't know what old Kurt Vonnegut got out of this as much as he did. But I think it's like, I think there are elements of charm in this thing. But there's also other stuff too. Like, so I think this thing is like a little Fellini-esque, as it is like this eclectic, like medley of weird characters, but it's not as weird as Fellini would go. You know what I mean? Like, there's this guy who's like up on the roof fixing it all the time, and there's the old pervert. But like Fellini would have 9 of those old perverts all jerking off on each other.
And they'd all be clowns.
And they'd all be clowns, and they'd all be in a Volkswagen Bug.
And we'd have Nina Rhoda music.
Yeah. And if anyone is like weirded out by that, just watch Criterion Collection Spine number 5, and you'll know what I mean. That Amarcord. Yeah. So, I mean, I got like Fellini vibes from it, but it's not as, it doesn't go there like Fellini does, if that makes sense. It's a little bit more dialed back. It's a little more realistic, but I think that's why the Fellini wild characters are a little bit charming, because they are more eccentric. So there's that.
Is that a win in the Fellini column, RJ Baylog?
No, Jarrett, what I'm talking about is, you know how you have to compare things? It's kind of like this movie that I watched once. It's called My Life as a Dog, where he was talking about comparing things and how you need to compare things to get kind of perspective of yourself. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Nope.
So I kind of liked all that stuff. I liked how it was like the reoccurring, like, I'm thinking about that dog Laika again. And it's like, man, I can't get over that shit. Shit's wild. And I actually liked that bit quite a bit. And I think there are like things that are endearing about this, like, because he, like, when he gets his dick stuck in that bottle and the mom is like, how do you get into this trouble? And he's like, it's not my fault. He's like, shit just happens to me. Like when that girl is like, she's like, come here under the train, and then the dad comes and he's like, what are you doing sexing up my daughter? And then he's just like, oh boy, not again. So it's like things do just happen when you're a little boy sometimes. Sometimes you get into trouble, but you don't mean to. So I thought that was kind of nice. But I think certain failings of this, Jared, is that you're dealing with an autobiography, and you're dealing with an autobiography where the guy who wrote it is writing it from the perspective of himself when he's like 10 years old. Or not even the perspective of him, of that, but he's writing it about it like a 10-year-old version of himself, where every single female character is like interested in him. The ones that are of appropriate age are like sexually attracted to him, and the ones that aren't just have some unearthly compelling like thing to be around him. I found that a little bit weird. I was like, this guy's really into himself, where like all of these like young girls are just throwing themselves on him. Because that one scene when the girl's like, I've undressed, come lie with me, I was like, these fucking kids are like 8 years old. There ain't no 8-year-old kids is like doing shit like this. If they are, didn't happen to me. So I was just like, I think this guy's a little high on himself.
RJ, you're gross.
Yeah, I know I'm gross, but this kid was gross too. And I'm looking at a picture of old Radar Johnson, and he's not like the most like star-studded dude either. So maybe in Lithuania he's like Fabio or something. I don't know. My point, Jarrett, is I think you have things like that. It's like, well, I'm sure there were like a couple girls who like had crushes on him, but I just find it problematic that it seems like all of the female characters in this thing are like drawn to him. Like he has this irresistible like pull from all the women. It's like, all right, man, you yeah, all right. It's like, okay, all right, okay. What else we got here? Old perverts like Jarrett. Yeah. Life is hard, that old woman says to him, lying in bed, which apparently you find is very upsetting. I found it weird in this movie where it's like, so the town is like super communal and they all like gather around stuff. Like, that's fine. But I thought it was weird when the dude who fixes his roof goes into the lake and they're like, hey, Franson's in the lake. He's going for a swim. Let's go watch. And the entire town shows up and laughs at him. And then he's like, fuck all you people. And he like tries to drift away. I would have done the same thing. If I was going out for a nice little swim and an entire town came and laughed at me, I'd be like, fuck you guys, you pricks. You know what I mean, Jared?
That's every week when the new episode goes up on YouTube.
And everyone comes and laughs at me?
Yep.
Fuck all those pricks. That's my point. One scene I actually really liked was when he like the weight of it all kind of hits him that his mom is dead and his dog is gone. He has that scene where like the dog is under the mother's bed like barking and the mom's like screaming for it to be quiet, and then he's under there trying to like hold the dog, and it's a silent scene. I was like, that's some nice filmmaking there, some fine artisan film craft that only the director of Chocolat could bring to us. So I actually like that little bit there, Jarrett. You know about that little bit there? You know about that little bit there, Jarrett? Did you know this was nominated for Best Director in the 60th Academy Awards?
I did not.
It was. Let's see who else was nominated for Best Director that year. The winner was Bernardo Bertolucci for The Last Emperor. Bertolucci. And then we have Adrian Lin for Fatal Attraction, John Boorman, Hope and Glory, and Norman Jewison for Moonstruck.
Wow.
Know what I mean, Jarrett? Yeah, I mean, I think My Life as a Dog is fine. I got like certain things out of it, but at the same time, I was like, there was a lot of stuff I thought was weird too. So, like all those kids bathing in like that fucking like coolant or antifreeze, whatever that shit was that was turning all of them green. I was like, I bet that actually did happen. But those kids probably had some serious fucking health problems later on in life, just bathing in like these hardcore chemicals.
Nah. It's called it was called the 50s, man.
Well, I know some old farmers now that have health problems because they just got like all those fluids on their hands and shit when they were like working in the tractors.
Mm-hmm.
You made that weird. It wasn't a weird thing I said. And then so you know what else is weird, Jared? That like that child nudity scene in this thing, which is like I'm sure that probably happened too. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it was just made up. But I feel like there would have been a better way to film that where people watching it wouldn't be uncomfortable that there's like naked kids on screen. And I know what you're saying is like, why are you uncomfortable? Why that? And it's like, because it's like a movie with naked kids in it. Like, why does that exist at all? Did you get that at all? Like,
I was completely indifferent.
Well, I thought it was weird. It's the same thing with Stranger Things where these kids making out all the time. I'm like, why are these kids making out? Why is this like a popular thing right now? Why do other people want to watch kids make out? Why do people put kids undressing in shows? Like, I don't get it. I'm not looking for it. Take it out. Cancel order, Jarrett.
I don't know,
Anyways,
RJ.
I thought that was weird. I was like, this is like a long, weird nude scene with these kids. I was like, I don't know what this is about. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the only one. Hot take. Maybe I don't like nude kids.
Or maybe you don't like the way they make you feel.
Jarrett, You're getting into suspicious territory over there.
Or just be indifferent to it and be like, oh yeah, there's some naked kids. Kids are naked sometimes, just like people.
Kids are naked sometimes, but there's laws against showing them. I mean, you know what I mean? Because that's what I was thinking. I was like, how does this fit into like the legal framework here? Because do you know? You know, like that's illegal, right? To show nude kids.
I don't know.
So how does it? How does
I
it
don't
get
know,
away with
RJ.
it?
You should go talk to your lawyer about this if you're really worried.
I'm not worried about myself. I'm just like thinking about these people. It's like this is weird. This is on Criterion Channel. There are nude children on the Criterion Channel.
God.
Bud.
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 Oh my
Anyway,
goodness.
do you have anything else to say about my life as a dog, Jarrett?
No. Other than it's like, I don't know. It's this coming of age adolescent stuff. It doesn't hit with me.
It's because you're one of two things. You
I'm
either
past it.
never came of age,
I'm
or you
over
came
it.
of age when you were like 5, and
Yeah,
you're just
yeah,
like,
I'm over it. Grow up, kids.
oh, so do you want to know how the real story ended? Apparently, he lived on his own for like a year or two, just like completely by himself when he was like a 10 or 11-year-old kid.
So he hunted and caught his own food?
I think it's like he just lived in that little shack beside the house, and that was like lived on his own.
Sure.
But Lasse Hallstrom was like, oh, he's like, that is too dark.
Not even that bad.
Well, apparently he thought so. Oh yeah, also Lasse Hallstrom, he talks about ABBA a lot in that 20-minute video.
He even made a ABBA film.
He claims he made all of their films, Jarrett.
Oh.
He was like, I made all their Swedish-made stuff. And then he corrects himself. He says, sorry, all of their stuff. And I was like, whoa. Dude's just taking credit for like the entire collection, like entire works of ABBA. All right.
Yeah.
And I mean, no one can prove me wrong on that because who out there is going to watch that 20-minute video? No one. So I can say whatever I feel like and no one will ever check it.
Well, especially these people who hate My Life as a Dog.
Hey, did you know that this Lasse Hallstrom person just made that movie A Dog's Purpose? That one that got in like serious shit for like allegedly like just throwing dogs off of waterfalls and stuff, like, or not what? Well,
What?
It was a bunch. Well, they got in trouble because it was like all this stuff where it was like the dogs were being mistreated on the set, where there's like a scene where a dog like pulls some kid out of a stream or something, and A Dog's Purpose got hit huge because they were like, holy fuck, how many dogs did you waste in this movie? They refuted all of those things, but
so none of them turned out to be true.
well, controversy. A video surfaced on TMZ showing footage taken from the set, which shows a male German Shepherd named Hercules being dragged and dipped into rushing water while visibly resisting. There's more. But anyways, the more you know, Jarrett, the more you know.
Joseph S. said, 0.5 star. One of the most obnoxious experiences I've ever had watching a film. Sorry to say. I hated every scene, every choice. Every choice. Every
choice.
Like this is like this is a movie that like how could you even have like a strong opinion about this? It's so adequate. It's like, yeah, that is the movie you were watching. Thanks for coming out. Hope you enjoyed the show. You move on.
Not surprising from someone who gave Happiness 5 stars.
Oh, see, that's
for bad takes all around. They just gave Death Becomes Her 5 stars. I can get down on that. But the only other 0.5 star review they have rating is for Darjeeling Limited. Right? Is that weird, Jared?
Life Quest, 2 stars. These kids needed more supervision.
Did they?
I don't know.
Well, I mean,
I'm not going to tell people how to raise their kids.
Raise them kids.
They did have an illegal boxing ring. And it's like, yeah, kids will figure it out. I mean, they all lived. I mean, until one of them dies, but I mean, they'll live. I mean, they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
It's not like we're all not going to be tortured like in a Stephen King novel with like traumas, like, oh, the evil clown's trying to drag us down to the sewer again. It's like
not yet.
Not yet. The greaser kids aren't going to come around. Use switchblades on our bellies.
It's funny you say that because one of LifeQuest's 5-star movies is The Outsiders.
Oh yeah, it's just like that.
Well, you said greasers with switchblades.
Yep, and demon clowns.
They also
relevant.
get 5 stars to Princess Bride, which I know that's a future creep. That movie's not 5 stars, not at all, you guys. And their half-star ratings aren't interesting at all. I don't know what any of this shit is. Like almost any of this. Whatever.
Maria.
Whoa. Half-star to Green Room. Not good.
Not nice.
Sad.
Maria Jose, 2 stars.
Okay. Yeah.
Most uncomfortable movie I've ever seen. I'm not even gonna try to understand this. Weird as hell. I'll pass.
What do you think she thought was weird? Do you think it was all that nudity?
Probably.
Yeah. See, I'm not a weirdo for pointing that out. I think that's a legitimate
or
thing.
You're a weirdo, like these people, like Bobby, 2 stars.
It's like I'm on board with Maria Jose because they gave one of their favorite films is Texas Chainsaw, and they just gave Call Me by Your Name 2 stars. So this is a rare person that I think really knows what's going on. I'm with you, Maria.
Bobby,
I'm with you.
2 stars. It's like watching a Rob Reiner movie in Swedish, but not one of the fun older ones. It's flipped. It's flipped with the weird psychosexual part of childhood that most people try to ignore.
Well, okay. I'm not ignoring that stuff exists. I know.
No, I am. I don't care. Yeah. I don't know. Just get over it, man.
I know that stuff exists. I was just saying, like, I just thought that put it in the movie too. Sure. I just don't actually show the nudity. That's the only thing I was saying. It's like you could have done that whole scene without actually showing any nudity. Hey, Bobby, one of Bobby's favorite movies is what we were just talking about in the preamble, Being There. You know about that, Jarrett?
I know about that movie.
Lots of criterions for favorite movies, like a lot of criterions. Nothing interesting, except Funny Games is 5 stars. The remake, which is weird. And then I'm looking at their half-star reviews here, and not a lot to talk about. But they did give Norbit half a star. Norbit's not bad.
Yeah.
And Little Nicky a half a star. Little Nicky's also not bad. I mean, Little Nicky's not good, but it's not bad. You got any more brain busters for me over there?
No, I don't.
This person, Bobby, gave Max Keebler's Big Move 1 star, which is like
it's Keebler's Big Move.
I've seen that movie. It's fine.
That's like dropping Flipped.
Well,
I have a hard time disagreeing with the Rob Reiner take.
Well, what do they mean by old Rob Reiner movies?
Stand By Me. Stop talking about Stand By Me.
That's old. So what's new?
It's like Swedish.
Flipped.
Yeah, Flipped.
I talked about Flipped on the podcast, didn't I?
Probably.
Flipped was fine. It's not great, but it was fine. Oh, and Princess Bride I'm not on board with. I bet he liked Princess Bride.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Misery and Stand By Me, that's some good shit.
Yeah.
What else did Rob Reiner do lately? Rumor Has It and So It Goes. Morgan Freeman in I Married My Granddaughter. You ever hear of that controversy?
Good Lord.
That's a real thing, apparently. I just read that on the internet. I'm just telling you what I heard. Rob Reiner directed Ghosts of Mississippi? I didn't know that.
Sure.
That's a good show. You ever seen that?
Nope.
Oh, it's got my girl Whoopi in it. Whoopi.
Any other thoughts about my life as a dog?
No, like honestly, I think it's fine. I don't think it's not a bad show. It's not a good show. I don't know. I got a little bit out of it. I mean, so it's not a bad show. It's not a great show. It's okay.
No.
It's all right.
It's a movie.
Yeah, I think I liked it more than you did, and that's fine.
Yeah, I don't even...
Jarrett's so removed from being a kid, though. He's just like, I have always been exactly as I am.
Fully formed.
My name is Jarrett Duncan. I am a debutante from the South.
Yep. After the break,
Yeah.
we've decided to settle here in Sweden for a little while longer.
And do what?
Well, was it 1959? In about
Sure.
eight more years, we'll be watching our next Criterion movie.
What is that?
We'll talk about that after the break.
Oh.